Hey, I know we'll have a few more attendees trickle in, but why don't we get started here? So, welcome everyone to our first Salesforce Office Hours. To get us started, I'd like to introduce you to Avik. Avik is a Salesforce developer and also a technical lead. Avik has over 10 years of experience in the Salesforce environment with several certificates. He's worked on implementations, custom development projects. He's developed apps. He's helped clients build technologies from ground up. And today he's here to answer any questions that you might have and help support the development of your Salesforce practice. So, Avik, why don't I give you a moment to introduce yourself as well?
Thanks, Florence. That was a great introduction to me. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining in. My name is Avik, as Florence mentioned. I'm working with Max since last 2 years. I have over 10 years of experience over the industry. I've worked with service-based organizations, product-based organizations, and lately I started with Mac. We have been working on multiple technologies, be it Salesforce, be it Python, marketing automation technologies, and whatnot. Recently, we have already started working on AI technologies. We are trying to build our own AI app inside Salesforce, and which can also talk to other systems across the tech platforms. Yeah, overall, it's a great journey. I'm happy to share all my experience over there. And next 1 hour, please go ahead ask questions. Let me see how much I can help in case there are certain questions which I cannot explain right now. Of course, I'll get back to you. I have your emails. I'll get back to you over an email. And we can skip you some other time to discuss that further. But of course, I open up the floor to ask questions. I'll allow people to talk, and please go ahead and try to ask questions.
So, we also had a few questions, Avik, that we received in advance of this meeting. So while the team here is, while our attendees are thinking about their questions and getting prepared, why don't I ask you some of the questions that we got in advance here?
Sure, friends. Let's do that, of course.
Okay, excellent. So one of the questions we received was, how do you create a lead management model for two companies merging together that have had different tracking mechanisms? They use different products and they have different sales structures.
Mhm, mhm. I think, of course, that's a great question. Lately, we have seen a lot of merging and acquisitions happening across the globe. Maybe that's a post effect of COVID, but a lot of clients, a lot of companies are trying to bring a lot of merging and acquisitions right now. And once the merging and acquisition has been finalized, the first thing that every company does is they merge their CRM technologies. Salesforce being the most commonly used CRM technologies will, of course, be the primary system, primary CRM for everybody. Lead management herein or opportunity management or anything which has to be merged, we have to think of multiple ways to do those merging. For an example, for small systems where we have only, let's say, 5 or 6 rules that needs to be taken care, we can simply use the standard lead distribution channels or the lead distribution standard flows. There we can set up 5 or 6 different rules which can do the work. Things can go more complex when we have, let's say, 20 or 30 rules per company. In those situations, we of course have to make sure that all the details are stored in some other place. For an example, we need to have a custom object where we can store all these lead distribution rules. Why we would need a custom object? Because things can go more complex. In a standard lead distribution channel or a lead distribution mechanism of the standard process, it only allows you to use the standard lead fields or the lead fields in total, by which it will go and do the assignments to each of the users. When things go more complex, for an example, if you want to do proper product mapping, where
Mhm.
for a specific product, I want to store it for, I want to assign it to XYZ user, and that is not stored in the same table. In those situations, we cannot use the lead assignment rules anymore. There are certain apps in the App Exchange which can be used. I was doing a lot of research these days. There are a lot of AI-driven applications which can be used. But once, if those tools are not being used, if we do not want to rely on any other tool, we can create our own custom implementations. Recently, during a merging and acquisition project, we have done lead as a complete complex custom lead assignment rule. In that, we created a custom object where we kind of distributed all the rules per all organizations. This
Mhm.
complex, this particular object handles any kind of any kind of partner distribution. It can handle the round robin mechanism. It can handle whoever is available first. It can handle the working hours. It can handle the time zones. It can even handle the assignment based on different objects. So all that can be handled within the same table. The benefit of doing it within a custom object inside Salesforce is, think of having 40 to 50 lead assignment rules. If we want to ever debug any lead which is coming in into Salesforce, and where did it actually go and why did it go, having a custom object and placing a report on top of it always helps, because then we can debug and find out why this went to XYZ person and did not went to ABC person. So that kind of a help we get. That is where a custom object and the Apex can kind of help to bring in the solution. However, if the system is not that complex, if there would be, let's say, five or six rules which are very much easy, and the sales team is very small, simple lead assignment rules and the standard lead assignment rules can be used.
No, that's really great, Avik. Thanks for explaining the thought process there. Um, so we've got another question here. It's one of our attendees says they're a manufacturing company with several partners. Each partner has its own clients. How do I provide limited access to partners and their clients so that they only see the products and critical information to allow that partner to sell to their own clients?
Mhm. I believe, of course, any this is a common question for anybody who is having a software and they want to sell it to any other clients, and they want the clients to use it. In that case, they want their product to be sold as a software as a service. But here in Salesforce, when they want to use their software as a service, they need a platform. So Salesforce here has to be a platform as a service. Of course, there are multiple companies who have been doing these kind of projects these days. Yeah. How it has to be done is, Salesforce has this concept of force.com implementations. We can easily build any application inside a force.com and kind of use it to allow different clients to use to work on that particular software. Salesforce has a concept of communities by which the distribution will happen. There would be one single community, and there would be different accounts linked to each to this community. Let's say, community A it has the whole software hosted. This software could be any document management software or any kind of software. Right now, I'll take a document management where I, as a company, I want to give give a document verification system. So I create a document verification system. I gave it to all the companies. All the companies are using that document verification system. They will log in their community and simply do the document verification. in the back end, say what Salesforce would do is Salesforce would create an account for each of the companies or each of the clients. Let's say for client A, account A will be created, client B account B will be created, and if client A has, let's say, 5 or 6 employees, all those will be contacts for that particular client A account. And of course, Salesforce has this feature of SSO. So we can easily integrate this particular client A or with with the client A's Azure, or let's say Okta or any of others single sign-on platforms, and it will automatically behave as their native software. So they can use a single sign-on to log in directly inside Salesforce, do their job. They won't be able to see any other data. So that kind of data privacy will already be taken care inside Salesforce. Salesforce has its own ways of doing the data privacy. So of course, if client A logs into their community, they won't be able to see client B's data. So that will automatically be handled.
Avik, we have a follow-up question to that. Will there be any additional costs to onboard more partners and more clients along into the community portal?
So community licenses are they have a cost involved, of course. How I have seen people do it is they give a so each community licenses are about $25 to $75, and how users or our clients have been doing it is they sell it to the customer using, let's say, 1 or 2 licenses at the first, and then if the client requests asking for 20 more licenses for their employees or 25 more licenses for their employees, that additional purchase has to be done directly from Salesforce itself. A lot of our existing clients already buy a bucket of licenses, let's say 1,000 licenses, and if a client comes in and they ask for 20 licenses, they allocate 20 licenses to them, so that they can only the client can only create 20 users. If they ever want to create 21 users, of course, they will kind of get an error. That has to be custom, but they will get an error, and they have to purchase more licenses. So that's how it would be done. But yeah, there is a cost involved whenever you want to bring in more customers and more partners.
Excellent. Thank you, Avik. So we have another question around data governance. So the question is, what are some best practices to ensure data governance? How can we use AI development to reduce manual efforts in keeping the data clean?
Yeah, AI is something which is always exciting, and always excites me as well. Uh, how would I answer this is, data governance cannot be done suddenly in one night. Data governance needs to be done from the first day when the org is built. There has to, whenever, of course, everybody in the panelist, I wanted to tell you, in case you are trying to create a new org, place in the data governance immediately on the first day itself. That way, or you can even assign a role to somebody that you are responsible for the data governance of the system. That way, you are removing a lot of headache which you can get in the future. But of course, that's a happy path. The sad path, of course, is one sudden day we understood that our system has a lot of data, and none of the data is clear. The data quality is bad. In those situations, we kind of get into a trouble that what should we do? How would I approach this situation is we do it per object. So take one object, let's say, take one main object, let's say organization or contact or lead or opportunity. Of course, everybody in the panelist, you might have different main objects, could be cases, could be one of your custom objects. Take that one object, go to data storage, see which object has the most data, which is consuming the most data in your system. Pick that object, start defining a quality matrix for this particular object. What exactly will happen is you need to involve your data stewards or your stakeholders, your business, to tell you that this is how I would define a contact, let's say. this is the best type of contact. It should have a proper email. It should have a proper phone number, maybe fax if somebody uses it right now. Certain type of fields. This is how I will define a perfect contact. This is how it will help me to bring business from this contact. So that kind of a metrics has to be defined by somebody from the business. After that definition has been done, see in your contacts how many of those contacts, what is the percentage of the contacts is following that metrics, how many contacts does not follow that metrics. If the percentage of the quality leads are more, then of course you're in good shape. But if that is not, then that's a hard path. You might need to go to see your upstream or downstream systems, find out where that all other data is there. Maybe you need to connect with those contacts to bring more data, figure out some marketing strategy to bring those data in. The second very important point is change the field types. I've seen many customers who have different fields which are open text fields. For an example, department, they have an open text department field, and anybody and everybody is filling whatsoever department they want to. They don't have a pick list. So you might need to move those department values to generic values. That kind of mapping has to be done. So you need to download all the departments, figure out what departments all that should be, and then map the buckets properly. The next point would be doing a data cleansing of data duplicates. Find out that field and that common key field. For contacts, it could be the email. For opportunity, it could be the company name. Find out that key field which would be helping you out to figure out what are the data duplicates. Remove those data duplicates. Data duplication inside Salesforce is easy, and it's difficult when I would say easy because Salesforce has its own duplicate rules and matching rules. So we can use those duplicate rules and matching rules, but they generally do not help when things go more complex. So maybe you need to write your own script. Maybe you need to take help from any app exchange product. Maybe a middleware is needed to fetch the details, clean it up, and upload it. Python has a lot of libraries which can do the data cleansing very easily and give you the exact data. And that way we can do the data cleansing, and that's how we will remove all the data duplicates. You can also remove. I've been working with a client who has a lot of dummy data as well, like @noreply.com, @yopmail.com, @nailinator.com. Those were dummy leads which were updated. You should delete them. And of course, once you have identified, okay, there is a percentage of people who are also updating dummy leads, so you should have a program in place which will remove all those, which will not even allow those contacts to come in. Data retrofit has to be done. Once you have decided a data governance you need, and once you have added the validations, you have changed the field types, you have defined the proper metrics, you need to go back in the historical data and correct that data. Because once that data is corrected and you have the validation rules and the data and the metrics is set up, that's when you have a clean slate. Now you can now whatsoever data comes in, it follows the metrics. Now this is how your data has to be corrected. Now when AI comes in, right, it kind of gives a much better solution. AI, Salesforce has its own AI. Of course, we can use it, or there are multiple tools right now which also does the data governance. Mac is also working on a AI tool which like building an AI tool which can do the data governance and data quality. The AI tool would go into the system, do a data check every day, uh, give a percentage of records which are duplicates, give a percentage of records which should be clean, give a percentage of records which does not matches the data matrix. So AI could be used in that sense. AI here could also tell us that if the data is correct. For an example, let's say there is www.yopmail.com or some dummy email, dummy websites or dummy emails. AI has that potential to identify these are dummy records. This should not be enabled. So AI can be used in those situations as well.
That That's perfect, Avik. Thank you. So I see we had another question that was submitted here. Um, we have a team of sales representatives that do not log their deals, but they answer the phone and work through their deals over the phone, basically. So they want to understand how can they create a system in Salesforce so that the calls are logged directly into the system, saving their sales representatives time to log individual opportunities and records.
Correct. Correct. I think this is a problem for anybody. I've seen a lot of clients um, who get different type of leads. They get leads from email, they get leads from phone calls, they get leads from data updates or from partners, but they do not upload everything inside Salesforce. They do not update everything on the CRM. The primary problem of this could be, it is time consuming. Of course, every lead comes from different sources, and you being one person handling all those sources, or one team handling all those sources, it is difficult to add all those values inside Salesforce because it is time consuming. But later point of time, when we see the whole big picture, right, we'll always see it has its own fruits. Um, to answer back your question, Salesforce comes with a CTA feature. So how would I handle the situation is the calls, whatever calls are coming in, we can integrate a Salesforce CTA inside Salesforce. Whenever the phone calls are coming in, the phone calls will come inside Salesforce, and I, being a sales representative, I'll accept that call. Once I accept that call, automatically what will happen is, we will get a pop-up inside Salesforce. While we are having the call, let's say the person client said, my name is Alex. I'll of course get a form where I'll get the fields which needs to be filled up, the important fields. So Alex, my email is this. So I added the email and all the details. What exactly has happened is now I cannot move to another lead. I cannot pick up another call, or another call will not even come to me unless I've added the details of Alex properly in the system.
Mhm.
Right. Once I've completed all the values or added all those values and I've not submitted it, that pop-up will not go away. So that way, there is always a governance that I have to add it. Second is a process change that we have to bring in. If we have been working with multiple clients, and we have seen that um, uh, there is a process of giving commissions to the salespeople, and that commissions will happen of what is the percentage of leads you have closed. In those situations, to increase the percentage, a lot of salespeople would reduce the entries of the leads which are not true or which do not actually convert. So for an example, let's say I convert 8 leads, then I'll only add 10 leads, and I'll say that 2 leads did not convert. But if I'm getting 20 leads, I'll not add those extra 10 leads. So I think a process has to be brought in, saying that add more leads, even that will give you some commission. So that kind of process change has to be also brought in to make sure this process is properly followed. AI, of course, can help here. There is a speech recognition technology that has been worked upon. Even Mac is working on a speech recognition situation where if somebody is talking on over a call, that whole conversation is taken care, or the whole conversation is whole speech will be converted to a text. Exact values like Alex, the email ID, the phone number, the company name, the exact values will be extracted from that speech and will be added in the form, and the user or the salesperson will be allowed to change the values whatsoever needed and then save it. That way AI can also bring in some help.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Vic. So another question here. We have one of our attendees that's a new admin. and they have inherited a Salesforce instance. They're saying that their Salesforce account is about 3 years old, and they're wondering if you have any best practices or tips to help them, be a better administrator, given that they're just inheriting this account.
Sure. I think there is no suggestion to this, right? Because every org is different, and every org and every company has a different process to it. Um, uh, but a lot of companies, what they do is they keep the documentations ready. Uh, and things go wrong when there is no documentations. So I've been working with a few clients who they have some documents. They have the system document, they have some field documents, they have the architectural design document of the system, maybe some process documents are there. But there are a lot of clients who would not even have those documents. So, and there would be a lot of clients who do not even carry these kind of documents, or they do not even know those processes. In those situations, I think the most important part is to go back to Salesforce and figure out yourself, just to get some glimpse of the idea. I approach this is I'll first go to the schema builder inside Salesforce. Schema builder is of course a great tool inside Salesforce, which gives you the complete schema. It will give you the relationships. It will give you all the object names, how they are related to each other, what are the fields and everything. That way you kind of get an idea that, okay, we are using accounts, we are using opportunities, there are contacts linked to it, there are, let's say, products, there are choices, campuses, whatsoever, right? So that way you get an idea of how the whole sales force is built. The second thing is knowing the business. Uh, Speak with the end users, understand what is the company doing, what is the product they are selling, or what is the services they are selling. What kind of business model they have? Do they have B2B? Do they have B2C? What is the percentage distribution, or they specifically work in one single domain? What are their product? Do they use Salesforce for sales cycle, for the service cycle? A lot of companies would only use Salesforce as a custom application. Do they use it for a custom application? So that detail has to be updated. So the first thing is get the schema idea. Second thing is understand what the business what is the business structure looks like here. The third thing is, once you know the structure, right, relate this business structure with the schema that you have created, and start creating a documentation, start creating a process. And how would I also do is I'll step a bit further. I'll speak to each of those department heads who are actually working on Salesforce. I'll go and speak with the departments. Okay, do you use Salesforce? Yes, they can come up with their team members, and they can speak with us. They can tell us that these are the features that I generally do, that these are the things that I generally do every day in my Salesforce. Try to note them down. Once you get all these details, it's very easy to connect the dots to kind of get the overall idea of the system. After you know the whole system, it's a great opportunity for you to, explore it, go back in the backlog, find out what the backlogs that are listed. Can you solve them with the details that you have already got? If you have not got enough details, then of course, once you go in the backlog, you will understand that there are certain features or certain departments which you have not discovered yet. So you, of course, go back and figure out. Um, the initial days when you have joined or taken over the org, right? Those are the best time when you should invest and give enough time to understand the org, because once you start working on the backlogs, and if you don't know the whole picture, and you have started building any of the applications or any of the automations, things can go wrong when they go to production, and they can hamper or disrupt any other processes in the system. So better to always check the whole picture, even if you just want to create a field. And because you are not experienced with that org, try to learn everything about that object. Try to even understand why that field is needed, what that field would do. Is there any automation? Is there a field set where this field should be added? Is there a report type where this field should be added? So of course, there are multiple edge cases which can come up. This is just a field where almost 5 to 6 edge cases can come up. So think of adding a process builder in place, adding a flow in place, adding a trigger in place. It can go more complex. So understanding the org is very important in that situations, um, and it's completely fine if you're delaying certain tasks in the initial days because you are learning. It's okay to not deliver fast because delivering something wrong can hamper and create more issues. It's better to learn everything and then try to implement those solutions.
Excellent. Avik, I see a comment here. Attendees really like that answer, and I think they can definitely take something away here. So our last question for the office hours is, we are looking to integrate 10 systems, and the data needs to transfer bidirectionally between these systems. How would you manage this without exceeding governor limits?
Yeah. I think it's a pretty interesting point to discuss. Salesforce has its own governor limits. Um, Over the internet, you can find multiple blogs and multiple solutions where they would talk about how we can reduce governor limit problems, how we can get rid of asynchronous errors, how we can get rid of SOCL 101 errors, what other steps should be followed and everything. But the truth is, all those are live because Salesforce is a box which has its own limits. Even if you try to get away from one of the limits, you will hit up to another limit for sure. I'll try to give an example to answer this question. Uh, I'm trying to write a trigger on an object on which there is already a million of data. While I'm writing that trigger, I started getting SOCL 101 error. To resolve those or a CPU time limit error, to resolve those, what I did is I moved to asynchronous processes. The trigger will call a batch class, or there would be a batch class which will run, and that will use the data and run and execute and kind of do the process. Eventually, you will see that batch class, because batch class has its own asynchronous limits. The asynchronous limits of Salesforce is 100 jobs at a time. You will see you are hitting that 100 jobs limit at a time in those situations. What we would do in those cases, we will move to frameworks. So we tried to escape the CPU time limit error. We moved to the asynchronous solution. Asynchronous, we remove the asynchronous problem by moving to a framework where what we are doing is we are checking if if there is 100 limit in the system, then just see if I've reached the limit, then don't enter any more data, hold it till the limit we are getting some of the some of the limits back, then we'll add more data, and then we'll add more data. So that kind of framework can easily be written inside Salesforce. We will write that framework, and then eventually we'll hit up to more errors where there's an error in Salesforce called 2.5 or 250k asynchronous limits inside Salesforce. So that means you can only do 250k asynchronous calls in 24 hours. So we'll start hitting that. So the point of this example is, even if you try to solve one of the errors, uh, you will hit up to another errors, and that chain will continue. And this chain will continue only when we have huge data set. Now, for the question, there are 10 upstream and downstream systems. That means the system is quite big. There could be millions and billions of data. I would have suggested just move to asynchronous, the problems will be resolved. But by understanding there are 10 systems, and understanding even in 2 or 3 systems, I know there would be millions of data. So asynchronous or moving to frameworks, moving to, platform events, anything would not solve. You will eventually, maybe not now, but later down the line, after 6 months or 7 months, you will see you're getting up another error. You solve that, you get up another error. So that will always remain your tech debt. You will always resolve that. You always have to spend some time on that over the years. How would I approach this is bringing in a middleware. I think that's the best solution. And eventually everybody would go there. When you talk to any expert, right, you will understand they will always suggest you to move to middlewares. There are multiple middlewares in the system. Some Salesforce recommended middlewares are, of course, Informatica, MuleSoft, and everything. So those kind of frameworks, or those kind of middlewares can easily be used to do this data movement. Use middlewares to fetch details, clean details, data, and push data to your downstream systems. Bring data from upstream systems to Salesforce. That way, you are not exhausting a lot of limits. Do not write Apex to move data to every system. That will not help. Will end up doing a lot of errors. So it's always better to use MuleSoft, and then building a framework inside MuleSoft. So MuleSoft or Boomi or any other technology, right? They have their own coding languages, own framework building technologies. So we can easily build frameworks there, and that way it is always a good option to create frameworks in the middleware. Let the heavy load happen outside Salesforce, and then the fetching the details. If we try doing everything inside Salesforce, because Salesforce runs on server and you already have a small limit, you are in a box. If you consume all the resources of your system, your system will get slow. You will see your page is loading late, your contacts are loading late, your emails are going late, your users are complaining because your system is slow. So you will end up getting this error. So always better to use Salesforce to offload these details to from Salesforce to any other system. Because Salesforce is a CRM, right? It should be treated as a CRM. It should be treated for the job it has to be done. It is supposed to do. It is a CRM tool. It's a Force.com application. That's where it should be done. For sending it, Salesforce should not be used as a middleware. It should not be used to transfer details, because we'll end up getting a lot of errors in those situations.
Hey, thanks for that, Avik. And it looks like we have a last question here, and it's our final one for the office hours today. One of our attendees has asked, they want to create a report to know how long it takes from when a lead is created to them being converted into a customer. How do you create a
Right.
report for this? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Salesforce has its own custom reports already, where you can create a report and have a simple status field as a bucket or a filter, where you can easily check if this is the lead, what is the time that is getting converted to any value. The only challenge that happens for the standard report is it does not gives you the time frame, how much it took to convert, how many stages it took to, how many for each of the milestones, how many hours the team has spent. So those details are not there. Mac has developed a tool called Status Tracker. It can be used. You can go in App Exchange and download that tool. It has a very nice small PDF which talks about how you need to set it up. Status Tracker can give you all the details that you need. It will tell you at which date one of the milestone has. So let's say the lead got opened, where at which date we are doing the lead conversion, at which date the opportunity got created, at which date we are doing a proposal to the client, how much time we spent to do the proposal to the client, how much time did we spend to, do the negotiations or the contracting, how much time it took to do the quotation. So what is the time frame, the start date and the end date, what was the time? And then when it got closed, so a complete view of till the time the lead got registered in the CRM, till the time to the time opportunity got closed, one or closed, or how much time did we spend and what were the milestone, and each milestone, who worked on it and how much time that person spent. So that kind of a report I'm sorry, can easily be built inside Salesforce using the status tracker app. So go ahead, use the App Exchange product, which Mac has developed. That would be a great option.
Thank you so much, Avik. All right, Avik, I appreciate all of your answers here. And for all of our attendees, thank you for all your questions. If there are any questions that we couldn't answer today, we'll be getting back to you by email. Thanks everyone for joining, and we look forward to seeing you in our next office hours.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining in.
Thanks.